The evolution of bodybuilding, from ancient Greece to Mr. Olympia. What if I told you that the obsession with sculpted muscles didn't start in a modern gym, but thousands of years ago in ancient Greece? From gladiators showing off their strength to Hollywood icons inspiring entire generations, bodybuilding has always been more than just lifting weights. It's a mirror of culture, ambition, and human potential. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the fascinating evolution of bodybuilding, tracing its journey from ancient Greek ideals to the grand stage of Mr. Olympia. The origins, ancient Greece, and the birth of physical ideals. The roots of bodybuilding stretch back to ancient Greece, where the human body was celebrated as the perfect expression of strength and beauty. Greek athletes trained rigorously for the Olympic Games, focusing on balance, symmetry, and endurance. Statues of gods and heroes weren't just art, they were physical ideals to aspire to. Men like Milo of Croton, a legendary wrestler, became early icons of strength. His training methods, like carrying a growing calf daily until it became a full-grown bull, highlighted the principle of progressive overload, a concept still used in gyms today. For the Greeks, fitness was more than vanity. It was tied to philosophy, military power, and civic pride. A well-built body symbolized discipline and excellence. The forgotten centuries, decline and resurgence. After the fall of the Greek and Roman empires, Europe entered the Middle Ages. The celebration of the body faded, replaced by different priorities: religion, survival, and war. Physical strength was still valued, but bodybuilding as an art nearly disappeared. It wasn't until the Renaissance that the human physique returned to focus. Artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci revived the Greek ideal through art, studying anatomy and glorifying muscular forms in sculpture and painting. While this wasn't bodybuilding in practice, it reignited admiration for the muscular human body, laying groundwork for future centuries. The 19th century, strongmen, and the birth of modern bodybuilding. Fast forward to the 1800s, and Europe saw the rise of strongmen, performers who displayed incredible feats of strength. Figures like Eugen Sandow, often called the father of modern bodybuilding, didn't just lift weights. They posed, flexed, and displayed their physiques as works of art. Sandow's influence was massive. He published books, toured internationally, and even sold exercise equipment. For the first time, people began to see physical culture as a lifestyle, not just entertainment. His competitions judged not only strength, but also muscle size, proportion, and symmetry. This was the true birth of bodybuilding as we know it. Early 20th century, bodybuilding becomes a movement. In the early 1900s, gyms started opening across Europe and America. Training methods became more scientific, and nutrition gained importance. Charles Atlas popularized the idea of transformation through exercise, inspiring millions with his dynamic tension system. Bodybuilding also began entering mainstream culture through magazines and contests. By the 1940s and 1950s, physique competitions were gaining attention, laying the groundwork for what would become bodybuilding's golden age. The 19th century, strongmen and the birth of modern bodybuilding. The 1800s marked the rise of strongmen, traveling performers who bent iron bars, lifted massive weights, and entertained crowds with unbelievable feats. But one figure transformed this raw display of power into something new. Eugen Sandow, remembered today as the father of modern bodybuilding. Sandow posed like a living statue, copying the physiques of ancient Greek heroes. His shows highlighted muscle aesthetics as much as strength. He wrote books, toured internationally, and even launched fitness equipment, making physical culture a movement. Most importantly, his competitions judged not just brute force, but muscle symmetry, proportion, and definition. This moment is seen as the true birth of modern bodybuilding. Early 20th century, bodybuilding becomes a movement. In the early 1900s, gyms started opening across Europe and America. Training methods became more scientific, and nutrition gained importance. Charles Atlas popularized the idea of transformation through exercise, inspiring millions with his dynamic tension system. Bodybuilding also began entering mainstream culture through magazines and contests. By the 1940s and 1950s, physique competitions were gaining attention, laying the groundwork for what would become bodybuilding's golden age. The Golden Era, 1960s to 1970s. The Golden Era is often seen as bodybuilding's most iconic period. This was the time of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, Franco Columbu, and Sergio Oliva. Their physiques balanced size, proportion, and aesthetics, creating the classic V-taper look admired to this day. Arnold, with his charisma and competitive dominance, turned bodybuilding into a worldwide phenomenon. His role in the film Pumping Iron gave audiences a behind-the-scenes view of bodybuilding's rivalries, training, and lifestyle, inspiring an entire generation. Training in this era became more refined. Athletes followed split routines, used progressive overload strategically, and focused heavily on posing. Nutrition, too, advanced. Diets were designed for maximum muscle growth while cutting body fat for competition. The golden era era emphasized artistry as much as muscle, and it made bodybuilding glamorous, pushing it firmly into mainstream culture. The rise of Mr. Olympia. In 1965, the IFBB created the Mr. Olympia contest to crown the world's greatest bodybuilder. Larry Scott was the first champion, but it was athletes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lee Haney, and later Ronnie Coleman who elevated Olympia into bodybuilding's ultimate stage. The competition was about more than raw size. Judges looked for symmetry, conditioning, and stage presence. Winning Olympia meant achieving near perfection, and it became the dream of every serious bodybuilder. Over time, Olympia grew beyond just one category. As the sport expanded, new divisions like classic physique and men's physique were introduced, keeping the competition relevant to different ideals of fitness and aesthetics. The 1980s and 1990s, the era of mass monsters. As the sport evolved, so did physiques. By the 1980s and 1990s, bodybuilders began pushing size to extremes. Enter Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman, men who redefined what big really meant. Their training intensity and sheer mass set new standards, but also raised questions. This was the rise of the mass monster era, where size often took precedence over aesthetics. Advances in supplements, training, and performance-enhancing drugs all played roles. While fans admired the sheer spectacle, others longed for the classic aesthetics of the golden age. The modern era, diversity and innovation. Today, bodybuilding has branched into multiple categories: men's physique, classic physique, women's bodybuilding, and more. The industry is no longer just about massive size. It caters to different ideals of beauty and fitness. Social media has changed the game entirely. Platforms like Instagram and YouTube allow bodybuilders to reach millions without ever stepping on stage. Influencers, coaches, and fitness models now have global followings, turning bodybuilding into a billion-dollar industry. Technology has also reshaped the sport. From smart fitness trackers to AI-driven workout programs, bodybuilding is blending tradition with innovation. Beyond the muscles, the philosophy of bodybuilding. While bodybuilding is often judged by physical results, its deeper meaning lies in discipline, resilience, and self-mastery. The process of sculpting a physique demands consistency, sacrifice, and mental toughness. For many, bodybuilding isn't about winning competitions. It's about proving what the human body and mind can achieve. This philosophy, rooted in the Greek ideal of balance between body and mind, continues to inspire millions worldwide. From ancient ideals to Mr. Olympia, a legacy of strength. The journey of bodybuilding is a story of human ambition. From ancient statues to modern stages, from gladiators to Instagram influencers, the pursuit of physical perfection has evolved but never disappeared. Mr. Olympia stands today as the pinnacle of this legacy, a stage where the world's best physiques are showcased. But bodybuilding's true power lies in its accessibility. Anyone can step into a gym and begin their own transformation journey. The evolution of bodybuilding is more than a history of muscles. It's the story of humanity's relentless pursuit of strength, beauty, and discipline. From the sands of ancient Greece to the bright lights of Mr. Olympia, bodybuilding has shaped cultures, inspired generations, and transformed countless lives. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of bodybuilding, make sure to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating explorations into fitness, nutrition, and the stories behind them.